Sport in Wales podcast.
Supported by DragonBet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.
Hello and welcome to the Sport in Wales podcast, sponsored by DragonBet and co-founded by Alex Cuthbert and Gareth Anscombe. I'm Geraint Hardy and I'm here to keep the guests in check as we look forward to the Sport in Wales week. Please remember to click follow and thanks for listening to this podcast. And this week in the studio, we have a man that's in too many prestigious clubs to name, but we can attempt a few, I think. World, European, Commonwealth and Paralympic champion. It's the powerhouse. He's an MBE as well. It's Aled Siôn Davies. Al, mate, it's great to have you here. You well?
Yeah, good, thank you. I hate to correct you, though.
Go on, straight away.
OBE.
Is it OBE?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, do you know what?
I got another one.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not...
Last year.
Did you get another one? Look at you. So you've been, how many times you've been to the Palace?
Twice now.
Okay.
With these titles, you kind of get invited to random people's birthdays there and stuff.
Okay.
And you think, it's great to be a part of this club, but then there's like 10,000 people there who have all got these amazing accolades. And
Okay, so the birthday parties, we'll go back to the MB and OB in a minute. But the birthday parties, is it like famous people everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Wherever you look, people of... have come from great careers, done incredible things. Even when you go to get like these kind of MBE, OB, when I was being awarded it, obviously, I'm obviously very grateful. It's a surreal experience, but I remember you speak to a chap behind me and he's lost 3 limbs, taken down 400 people for the country, and you're like, yeah, I just threw something a bit further than everyone else. It's kind of like you always compare it and you think, oh, maybe it's something I should get at the end of my career, but I always forget it's kind of like an ongoing thing, isn't it? It's something that I'm always trying to raise awareness, always trying to get more kind of people with disability into para sport. So,
well, your story's amazing, mate. One of resilience from day one. Do you know what I mean? So you do deserve what you've got. So don't put yourself down at all. So, who's the most famous person you've met in these events? And is everyone behaved? I imagine everyone's on best behaviour, right?
Yeah, everyone is kind of, but there's so many people there. You say like it's not very often you go to a garden party and there's over 10,000 people there. But I think the most famous person, probably my first time at Buckingham Palace when I was getting my MBE, because I got it with Adele.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was quite surreal when she got her MBE.
But if you're the Queen then, right, you just want to say to Adele, like, give us a song while you're here. Just, you know what I mean? Everyone wants a song.
Yeah,
Can you do it?
Yeah.
I'm the Queen. I want a song. So does everybody else.
No one asked me to throw, though.
Yeah, but they should. They actually genuinely should. Do you know why? Because then they can see how far you actually throw it in real life. Because sometimes on telly it's hard to see how far it goes.
Yeah,
I
don't think it'd go down well, those kind of garden parties, though, would it?
Break the place. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Is it like an airport getting in?
Yeah, it really is. There's a whole process to it. But when it's all kind of confirmed and they know which vehicle, you literally just drive through the front gate, which is quite cool. It's a whole experience within itself. But yeah, and then a lot of the royals are there. And you just got to make sure you're dressed in your finest, kind of.
Yeah, that's pressure. What to wear?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Do you get like a freebie suit off someone for that?
Not freebie. I've never been one of those lucky ones.
No.
But I always do get recommended and like kind of a bit of discount because I'm offering exposure for them as well. But to be honest, it's something I want to kind of invest in anyway. It's a special day. It's probably a suit I might not ever wear again either. Yeah. So it's I like to make sure I look my best because it's those photos that will obviously stay in the family forever as well. They will always see. So
yeah. Who gave you your MB and who gave you OB?
Prince Charles at the time.
Yeah,
was my MB. Or was it the Queen? Yeah, and then William for my OB.
Ah, okay.
So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
They have mad royal parties apparently, don't they?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we've heard from Harry's book. I just wish the garden parties were like that for you.
No, but that's the thing. I went to like 1 or 2 at the start because obviously it's quite, okay, this is cool. Not many people get these invites, but they're so busy. It's not as if, you're going to go there and you're going to chat to hundreds of different people like I thought it would be. You kind of just there, and whether I was there or not, I don't think anyone would have known. There's so many people there.
Is it like really formal networking?
Yeah, to an extent. People just standing around dressed to the nines. But it's been a while since I've been to one.
Well, we've got to say congratulations because this could lead to more things. And the Paras are this year. World champs again, mate. That's amazing. Your 10th consecutive World Championship, 6th in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
That's amazing. That's serious domination.
Yeah. I don't take much time to reflect. For years, I've always kind of thought, right, on to the next one. I won my first Paralympic gold medal in 2012, and I remember my head coach at the time saying, "Right, you can never lose again," and it kind of stuck with me. It's like, yeah, you can never lose again, but you don't want to either. Which is, I look back now and it's surreal because everything I wanted to achieve in my career, I achieved before the age I was 21. So a lot of people are always like, where's your motivation? How do you keep going? And for me, it was kind of, I didn't like how para was perceived. Kind of the standard of it wasn't as good as it could be. When I came into it, the world record was only 14 meters. The fact that I've pushed it up to 17.5 meters now, and the same in the discus, I've pushed it on over 10 meters. That's what I wanted to do. For me, it's always been about the performance. So, I went to my first World Championships in 2007 and came last. Didn't really get the bug for it. Missed out on Beijing 08. Then I had a couple of, junior years in 2010, 2011, just working the Junior World Championships. And then I got taken kind of to my first IPC Senior World Championships in 2011 in New Zealand. And for me, it wasn't kind of something that was on my radar. I came off my first Junior World Championships, and my dream and my aspiration was the same from 2006 when London won the bid. I needed to make the games somehow. I just wanted to be there, to be a part of it. There was no kind of aspiration of medals. Everyone wants to win that Olympic or Paralympic gold, but for me, it wasn't a reality at the time. And when the team was announced for the World Champs 2011, everyone wanted to be on it because it was the last World Champs before London. And the first round, I wasn't picked. So they picked a team of 38 and I wasn't on it. And that's because the throw that I qualified with hadn't been ratified or something. Anyway, a couple of injuries fell through, which is always in my favour. And I got the call asking if I wanted to go. And I was like, of course. And I actually promised them a medal there and then. I said, you take me, I'll come back with something. Yeah. I was that confident, even though I wasn't even in the top 6 in the world at the time.
Doesn't surprise me that you said that.
Went along, and obviously, everything fell into place, to be honest. I performed out my skin and I came fourth in the shot, in the discus, and 6th in the shot. And I was one of those unlucky, I'd say, ones to have a delightful Russian in my event. So when he failed the drug test, bumped me up one. And unfortunately, at the time, the old world record holder failed the drug test. Really? So there's a lot of drama when I first came into my sport. So the two main protagonists for gold and silver that had me from US kind of dropped out. And it was so then I got upgraded to a silver medal. So all of a sudden, it was kind of, I went from a position where it was like, we took you to first world champs and you finished 4th, to, wait, you've got a silver now, which put me in a position to get some funding. And I was given this opportunity in January 2011. They were like, look, we can give you funding, give it everything you've got to go to 2012. And, I took the funding, put my degree on hold. And they kind of built up this rivalry by me and this other Russian going into 2012, and it was really exciting. But and then another bombshell dropped where my rival, the Russian at the time, I had a phone call off one of the media outlets going, Alexei, who we're building this kind of head-to-head with for London, he's passed away. He's taken his own life.
No way.
Yeah, he's gone through some psychological stuff. So I was like, oh, wow, sorry to hear that. But then all of a sudden, it was like, Aled could win 2012 here because the 3 people that were all in the mix, they'd just gone. So it was kind of like the stars aligned. Confident, everything changed in me.
Did you feel that pressure though?
No, because there was so many poster boys and girls going into 2012, and I just wasn't one of them. There was nobody knew or expected anything of me. At the time, there was a Welsh thrower, you probably still hear Nathan Stevens, javelin thrower. So he was like the main poster boy for 2012, and then the star came out of Wales because he'd won the world champs the year before. So for me going in there, I had nothing to lose, and walking out my first morning in 2012 with 70,000+ people there was something I and Parasport hadn't seen before. To have people cheering my name, I was in the last round in 4th place, pulled out a personal best to get a bronze, and for me that was it. I'd come to a games and I'd got a medal. I'd overachieved. I'd done everything I wanted to. I got my bronze. I was happy. So the fact that I had discus 2 days later, my favorite event, with no pressure in the world, knowing I was going out to 70-odd thousand people. You know, I didn't sleep. I couldn't wait to get out there. And you can look
so excited.
You're so excited, so excited. And you look back on YouTube, and I see the emotions, because it popped up the other day, because it's a long time ago now, and I don't even recognize myself and how confident I was in just orchestrating this crowd and getting them all behind me. It made me realize that I was very jealous of football and rugby players that got to go out in front of those crowds every weekend, and I had to wait once every 4 years.
But you did embrace that moment, though, didn't you? Massively.
I did. I mean, you grow up, and like for someone like me, I grew up with like a lot of imagery in my head. So I'll be, time to go to bed. I'll be in my bed, a bit of music on before I go to sleep, and I'm thinking about coming out in front of the crowd, everyone cheering, putting that one performance that I've been training for all those years and delivering it and pulling it out at the right time in front of everyone and showcasing what I got or what para sport is. Those are that was everything for me. That was my motivation. So, once I got that gold then in 2012, and that is a whole experience in itself, I wanted to back it up at the World Champs a year later. And that's where the World Championship dominance came, because I wanted to show everyone, right, it's not just a one-off. And I'm good at the both. I can do disc and shock, because I was adopting an able-bodied technique that no one had really seen before. And I just stopped thinking about my competitors. I was going in there, and I knew the only one that was going to stop me from winning was me. And I was going in there with distances. So even though I was winning these world titles, I'd be walking away frustrated, because I was like, I wanted 16 today. They're like, yeah, but that would mean you would have won by 2 meters. So
that was your aim.
It's a gift and a curse. Always hungry, never satisfied. And that's been kind of my motivation for pushing and keep going for all these world titles, if I'm honest.
But what's mad is, though, and I didn't know till recently, this all never ever happened. It could have been a completely different story for you. Because Beijing, you wanted to go, but you couldn't go. No,
it was a very strange time. I got taken to a World Champs in 2007. I was very young, and I came last in the discus. I was only taken for the discus because I was nowhere near it. Was shot. But obviously there was a lot of attention around me because I was young, and it was always like, he's one for the future. So I genuinely thought if I got myself in a position, and I qualified and I did everything that was required, that I'd be taken. But, as everyone knows, and a lot of frustrated athletes know over the years, it's not always that straightforward, and you always wait until your name is on that paper, because there's always some reason, some way that you might not have been selected. And for me, I was a very kind of, let's say, unpredictable 15, 16-year-old at the time.
Naughty.
All over the place, and I just don't think that I had those kind of professional characteristics that I needed to perform at Paralympic Games. But at the same time, I was fearless, and I believed I could beat anyone. So for me, I was heartbroken, because I wanted to go. A lot of my friends went, and, the team I had around me at the time did believe that I could potentially go. So if there's a tiny chance, in my head, I knew I'm going to go, because that's just the way I've always thought. But didn't get picked for the team. Watched teammates, friends go on and deliver. But for me, I felt like it was personal. I was like, someone doesn't like me. They don't want me in the sport. And I was like, that's fine. I'll go elsewhere.
So you had thrown far enough to be on the team. You were good enough to be there, yeah?
Yeah, at the end of the 2008 World Rankings, I was ranked second in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're 15.
Yeah. So I was 16 at the time, and I genuinely believed that I'd be taken, and I wasn't, and that was the end of that. I was adamant. I was like, right, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna just go do my qualifications, go to university, and what will be will be. So kind of carried on with. Carried on with just my academic studies, and I was doing sports here and there, so a bit of swimming, bit of this, bit of that. And it wasn't until British Athletics had a kind of whole new team brought in, and it was always going to happen with the 4-year cycle from 2008 to 2012, and there was a lot more money, so they brought in some of the best people in the world, and they physically came to Bridgend to get me. And they were just like, don't give this up. There's an opportunity. They gave me a pathway. They gave me a plan, showed me how they would support me, and basically told me kind of KPIs I needed to hit to get to where I wanted to be. And to be honest, I had no interest in going to higher education, and I was quite lucky. They supported my process, getting me to Cardiff Met for training, and I got on a course, got a degree. But yeah, it nearly didn't happen. And if it weren't for them kind of identifying that I could be good, and probably believing in me more than I believed in myself, yeah, there definitely wouldn't be an Aled Siôn Davies OB right now.
That's incredible, isn't it? That's like a moment in life. If they'd have gone, oh, do you know what? We'll send him a message.
Yeah.
Instead of coming to actually get you,
you
might have ignored that message.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I wouldn't have even looked at the message as well. I know what I was like, because even when they came down and you're talking, your Peter Ericssons, Paula Dunns, Mike Cavendish, they're big names now have gone on to head in the Olympic style, British triathlon. If it weren't for them coming down and actually being there in my face and telling me like, you could be one of the greatest of all time at this, I definitely wouldn't have believed, and I definitely wouldn't be here.
Well, there's a message for loads of people in life, innit?
Yeah, it definitely is. Because as much as you always think you know best for yourself, you haven't got that third eye, and it's very important. And I was lucky that I had people around me that knew what was best for me too, because I definitely didn't know what was best for myself.
And were you hyper-focused from that moment on after they said that? It took a while for you to kind of find your rhythm again?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that kind of increased was my cockiness and confidence, to be honest. When the best people come and tell you, oh, you can be good at what you're good at, it was kind of, oh, yeah, I know I can.
So when did you kind of go, okay, actually, you need that confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, and every time I see you, you're like, I'm going to dominate. I'm going to break records. You've always said that to me, when we've met privately or whatever. But when did you kind of go, okay, I need to start knuckling down on this training now, because that's where you're going to get your strength and your gains, right?
Yeah, probably 2014.
Really?
People don't realise it was quite late in my career. I hate saying it, but you kind of got to blow your own trumpet sometimes. Very talented at throwing, and I got away with a lot because I was talented. I got away with a lot, and it wasn't until I lost at my first Commonwealth Games as captain of Team Wales, that and kind of relishing in those feelings and how I felt coming off that track, and people wanted to take pictures of me, and I'm just like, I want to swallow myself inside right now. I just don't want to be. And I kind of make sure I always remember those feelings, because I was like, I never want to feel like that again. That's going to motivate everything. And I went off the back of that. I know I say it a lot, but it's still a silver medal for me when it was the last title that I needed.
Yeah, because you've had everything else.
I had Para, World, European, and the Commonwealth Games, which on paper, I hate to say it, should be the easier one of the lot. But because with the Commonwealth Games, they combined categories, it was point system. It was kind of whoever was the best man in their event on their day. And I was going up against a prime Daniel Greaves, who has won Athens, was a much more experienced, much better athlete than me. And I knew after the second round of the Commonwealth Games, when I hit a throw with everything I got, and it was in a position where I weren't like, yeah, that'll do. It was kind of like, oh, I hope that's enough, because I haven't got anything else today. Knowing that I hadn't left every stone unturned when I was out there, I wasn't the best version of myself. I just had to hope that someone else would have an off day and I would stay there. It made me realize, I was like, right, I need to change everything, because now I want to work to be in a place that even on my bad days, I'm still significantly better than everyone else.
Yeah. Wow. So where are you at now then? Obviously, the Paras, they're coming fast now.
Yeah.
How are you feeling looking forward to that?
I know. We're going into the 4th Paralympic Games for me, which is crazy. I feel, I'm as confident as ever, just probably on my experience. I know what I need to do, and I know what it's going to take to win. But at the same time, I'm 32, and I've been doing this since the age of 14, and my body's starting to let me know that. Mm-hmm. So it was coming off the back of Tokyo, where everything has been the driver for me off Tokyo was, right, I need to win this Commonwealth Games. I didn't get the chance in 2018 because my event wasn't there after 2014. So I've had to sit with this kind of Commonwealth hate since 2014. I needed to put it to bed. And Birmingham, pretty much a home games with, an absolute stacked field, was the time for me to do it. And to be honest, it would have been a lot easier if COVID hadn't happened, because Tokyo would have happened in 22 and we would have had just under 2 years to get ready, switch discipline, because I'd been solely focusing on shot put. COVID COVID obviously smashed everything back a bit. Got Tokyo done end of 2021. And then we had 9 months to kind of change discipline and get ready. At the end of a 4-year cycle, I normally have about 3-4 months off. And this time I didn't. I went through, and I was also behind on training just because we didn't have enough. So we went hard, like really hard. And it worked out well. I came out through 57 meters. You know, I broke the world record again by another 4 meters. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to do crazy stuff this year. And I just started getting this horrible burning sensation across my groin roundabout. Do you know, it started when I was driving back from Bedford 3 weeks before the Commonwealth Games. I just broken the world record for the first time in 5 years.
And you were in the car.
And I was in the car going home, and I was like, oh, my hip flexors are tight. And I was just like, hang on a sec. This feels like I haven't put sun on, and I've been in the sun all day. It was such a bizarre feeling. We managed it as much as I could. I generally thought it was my hip flexors, quads, hamstrings. Managed it as much as we could. And then it was like, oh, it's my ductors, nothing. So got to the Commonwealth Games, got scanned, and it was just had so much inflammation all around my hips, all around my pelvis. And they were like, oh, you've got osteitis pubis. So it's an overtraining injury. And it's most common career-ending injury in football and rugby, so I've been told. There are a lot of, especially with goalkeepers as well and stuff like that. A lot of athletes don't come back from it, and so as you can imagine, that's not what I wanted to hear as someone who's going into his prime years in the sport. So the first kind of protocol for an overloading injury is to just stop training. So I literally was on every anti-inflammatory under the sun, gritting my teeth when I won the Commonwealth Games gold, but I had to do it just to be like, I'm done now. And that, to be honest, like I shut the door in 22. I was like, I don't care about accolades anymore. I've won everything. I've won everything until the standard I want. And I had probably about 4 or 5 months off. I got back into training, and it was constantly there. This pain, and I've been having the only treatment for it at the moment is injections into pubic symphysis, and as men don't dilate really. I had a saline put into my pelvis, which dilates my pelvis 2 centimeters, which is a very strange experience. Huge. Found respect for women after that. I'll tell you that. But yeah, so I had that open up, and then they inject the steroid inside to try and calm it down. And I've had that. The first time you're kind of like, okay, I can see how that's that scars people. People get PTSD from that kind of treatment. I can understand why now. I never want that again. So the fact that I've had it 4 times in the last 2 years, it's I've had enough of it. So for me now, obviously do the job in Paris. Very confident in that. I've worked too hard and too long to not be in the position to be fighting for the right colour, but is an operation then as soon as I get back, fix the problem for good. It's so much, there's so much entailing throwing and training. I'm lifting 4 days a week. I'm doing plyometrics, jumps, sprints 3 days a week, and I'm doing throw-in 3-4 days a week. So there's 6 days a week where I'm training, which is again something that's changing for me. Now I'm being an older athlete, I've realised I don't want to train as much, which is a tough one for me.
You struggle without the training, yeah?
Oh yeah, and I'm struggling with the transition at the moment. It's only been something I've been going through the last year, where it's like I'm moving to 2 rest days instead of 1.
Okay.
And the thing is, people are like, oh, why is that so hard? And it's like, well, I'm there, and all I'm thinking is I'm not training today, but matey in Kuwait who's coming after me is
flat out. Yeah.
And that's the way I've always thought. But I'm doing my best to kind of change and curb that, and I feel like I feel a lot better for it, because the less I am doing at the moment, the better I'm feeling. And I'm starting to crawl back up, and I've learned a lot about my body, let's say.
Yeah. So I take it you're having good days and bad days with it, yeah?
It is. It's a roulette. It really is. Like I was fine all the way up to the World Champs, did Kobe, and then flew back home, and I wasn't 100% happy with my distances in Kobe because it was such an early start of the season. So I came back and I did an open meet in Leckwith, put 0.5 meter on my throw, but then felt like I got hit by a bus the next day. And even tomorrow, going back down to London to see the professor just to make sure we have Professor Childers, just to make sure we have everything lined up for after Paris. because the motivation, the aspiration still remain the same. 5 goals from 5 games. I want to be a part of that club that not many people are in. But yeah, I think over the years, all the training I've done is just taking its toll a bit. So
your coaching and staff and people around you saying, Al, you've got to take it easy now, because if you overdo it, the paras becomes something that could be jeopardized, right?
Yeah, I think if my team had it their way, they would be like, wrap Aled in bubble wrap, do Kobe, then wrap him up again, and do Paris. But I love competing. It's my favorite thing. I train all winter just to compete. That is what I adore. And having it taken away from me for 2 years also made me realize that I'm not ready to retire.
Well, that was my next question. Yeah. So when you think about the future and this injury, I'd imagine you've had some serious talks to yourself and thoughts about what is your career plan after the Paras.
Yeah. I think I've had a good think about things, because the last piece to the puzzle for me was winning the Commonwealth Games. I think it's important to have aspirations in sport, especially when you've already achieved what you wanted to achieve over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So for me, having that crazy, 5 goals for 5 games, because I know Sir Stephen Redgrave done that. I want to be a part of that. That's something to aim for. But really, when I look back, I'm like, I was completely satisfied when I was like, right, I've got my Para, World, Euro, Commonwealth champ. I've won them all. I hold all 4 titles at the same time. Not many people can say that. And the toll it's taken on my body, it's been tough to kind of weigh things up, because as much as when this injury occurred and COVID and things were starting to forcibly be taken away from me, it did make me realize that I wasn't ready to step away. That hunger was still there. I missed it. I've got a dream job, and I think now I've got it back to an extent. But this injury's stopping me from doing what I do. It has made me look at things differently, because I think what's made me take action isn't the fact that it's affecting me in sport. Like, that's something that I'm dealing with my team, but it's more my personal life away. When you wake up in the morning and you're kind of building the motivation just to stand up from your bed to go brush your teeth, you're kind of like, this is not right, and hoping that the night before you wake up in one piece, because you just never know. All it takes is for me to sleep a bit differently, and then my hip's gone. So those things have definitely made me realize, right, if I can't fix this in the next few months, it'll definitely probably be the end of me. It'll be something I'll definitely walk away. But I'll be, it's not ideal. No athlete wants to.
Yeah.
Every athlete wants to finish on their own terms.
Yeah,
they do.
So so what have they said in terms of you going to the Paras? Winning is obviously what you're going to do there, and then after that, have they said operation? And then we assess after the operation.
I think
we're at.
Well, we're assessing all the time. Like every 2-3 weeks, we're managing this. I'm going to get scans and stuff this week, so we're just having them every so often, just so we can see how much it's deteriorating. But it's. I think what we're trying to do at the moment is something needs to happen under the knife. It's just figuring out exactly what. But I will be fixing this problem after Paris. Whether I come back and rehab from that is a different kettle of fish, because you're talking about a year rehab. With what I do, the spinning, what requires of me, and the positions I get in is probably going to be a bit longer. My age on top of that is going to add a bit more as well.
Does your disability make it more complex as well?
And then, of course, you got that in the mixer too, the disability, because I've got the 2.5 centimeter shortness. They haven't got the foot, got the slanted pelvis, missing hip, and all the ligaments gone in the knee. So with the shortness in the femur, the legs undeveloped. My genetic makeup is skew, if anyway. So there's constantly pressure on my body to kind of try and be even, but it's not. And I just think I really need to be in touch with my body and make sure that I rehab this correctly. But to be honest, it depends on the level of surgery I have. But if I come back, I don't know. But I can only just hope that I have to tell you next year. I really will.
Yeah.
It's something I don't know right now, because you hope I would love to sit here and go, yeah, I'm gonna have the op and I'll be back, and we'll be back doing it year after next. But I think with all the contributing factors to how this can go, I've got to take it like I am with everything right now, and that's just every week, every day as it comes. And like right now, today, I'm pain free, so I can't complain.
Well, I commend you
Small
for
win.
speaking about it, because I don't think many sporting athletes would talk about it before going into a games or before a game or a season or whatever. But that, the transparency here is amazing. And, it gives us an insight as fans into sport of kind of that is the daily grind that could be happening to any athlete at any given time. Yeah,
I mean, every athlete kind of has their own Everest, let's say.
Yeah.
And every athlete is going through some sort of pain or injury. You're constantly putting stress and trauma on your body when you're trying to deliver to that level anyway. But when the smile fades, but you're still doing your job, I feel like people should know why. And even since I've been a bit vocal about it, there's been a lot of people being like, "Oh, do you know what? I've got that problem. I can't get rid of it."
Yeah.
The amount of messages on social media I've had off people saying, "Oh, what have you done? What are you doing to fix it?" And obviously, I'm in a position where I have got a great medical team around me, but it is hard to kind of still try and be at that kind of top 1% as well in competing. So I have to be honest, because I'd love to say right now, oh yeah, I'm going to break the world record next week, but I've kind of slowly revving up through the gears at the moment, because if I go too hard too fast, then my hip breaks down. So I'm just glad I'm a bit more mature, a bit older, and I can manage it properly now.
Yeah. So if we hear you swearing,
I do apologise.
it's because you're in pain.
To be honest, I'm quite good at hiding it.
Yeah.
And I did that really kind of sad, toxic thing the last 2 years where you kind of like, don't tell anyone I'm injured.
Yeah.
Hide it from everyone. I don't want my competitors knowing I don't. But it didn't matter. It really didn't matter, because it didn't take anything away from my performance. It was only judging my mood, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I've kind of thought, you know what, I'm not hiding this anymore. I'm not being, antisocial or miserable or mean. If I keep myself to myself, it's because I'm just trying to get through this kind of crap stage that no one seemed to have answers with as well. That was the problem. We just couldn't fix it. We tried everything. I think that was the exhausting part. So I was like, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
I'd rather break my leg or like have a grade 3 tear any day of the week than have this constant pain. That's the annoying thing. I can see how it can drive people insane.
Yeah. But it's mad that you say that, this crap stage, but it's been pretty hard for you since COVID, really. You've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
You've achieved so much in your career, but personally, you've had loads going on as well. Do you know what I mean, is some of that you're willing to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, COVID kind of changed everything. It really did. Coming into that year, I was really excited because I was going for my 3rd Paralympic gold medal. I kind of changed a lot of my training because I felt I realized that I could still do what I wanted to do, but I didn't need to be so heavy. So there was a lot of people working around that in keeping my power and strength up. So I was feeling like I was in the best shape ever. And of course, COVID hit, and it was kind of, I've never experienced the kind of carpet pull from underneath my feet before. It was a strange one. I was lucky to have some good sponsors who were backing me and believed in the direction I was going, and the plug was pulled out on overnight, and it was tough.
All your sponsors,
all the sponsors were gone overnight, and you understand why. With it was kind of crisis situation for everyone when things started happening. I just didn't think so much would be taken away so fast, and for me, I bought a new house kind of 2 months before that, and it was it was just like, how am I going to pay for everything? And I couldn't go to the track, I couldn't train, I couldn't get the equipment because obviously everyone wanted to train from home. And so I was looking at stuff on Marketplace, and I was like people were putting the price up of their gym equipment by 6-7 times. And I was like, hang on, I just want to do my job. It got to a point where I was filling my wheelie bins full of cement to make jerk boxes and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I was doing anything I can to train, because at that time it was like, oh, you can't train, you can't do anything, we can't give you access because obviously you're not a professional sport. Athletics is not a professional sport.
Yeah.
But the Olympics is going to go ahead, but you can't
train.
You can't
properly.
prep for it. So I was kind of like, okay, scared the neighbours and building a shopping circle in my garden, and kind of I literally just tore up the book. But again, there was no money on the table. There was no competitions. And I was in a pickle. I really was. So, I sold my house, and I had to kind of rethink that. And that's when I took the whole SAS kind of gig.
Who wins?
Because it was kind of like, I really don't want to do this, if I'm honest.
But you've got bills to pay.
But I had bills to pay. It was something that I would have done further down the line for sure.
Yeah.
But
you came across really well on it, by the way.
maybe not as an 18, 19 stone shot putter, though. Did I want to be running the hills of Scotland? But it was one of them that I wasn't going to back down to. But yeah, I mean, everything in my personal life changed. I had a complete redirection in life, and I needed to think about, what am I going to do here? And we did try to evolve with the times, but it's sad because it's kind of changed my situation and para for forever, because some things are just not come back. Even now, this is probably I hate saying this because I'm very proud of what I do, but this is the first games where I'm going in. I haven't got any private sponsors. So, for me, I'm doing this for British athletics and myself at the moment. And, there's less and less opportunity for, it's hard enough being a thrower in athletics, but being obviously a para thrower on top of that, it's even harder with, the opportunities that are out there. And obviously I don't always fit the picture that everyone's looking for. So, I mean, all I can do is focus on the performance, which has obviously been my struggle with this injury. Because I'm like, the one thing that's keeping me there right now is I want to show everyone that I can be as good as able-bodied, and I still feel like I've got 3-4 years to do that. I'm younger and healthier and stronger and better than ever. It's just this little niggle, and I will be back there. But yeah,
it doesn't make sense though. So you must find that hard to, kind of be at ease with at times.
Yeah,
because you're going for your 5th gold, like we just said. Stephen Redgrave's not going into his Olympics back in the day without any private sponsors at all. Which, I mean, it blows me. So the only kind of money you're getting from sponsorship is
UK Sport.
UK Sport funding,
yeah. So I get UK Sport funding, and yeah, that's where it's at.
That shouldn't be the case, should it?
I mean, beggars can't be choosers, and I like, it's tough because I don't want to sit here and be like, I wish I had this, wish I had that.
No.
And I always thought I'd be in a very different position now, 10, 12 years ago, but at the same time, it's made me reflect. Like, I was spoilt, and we were all spoilt with 2012. It really was. Coming in, where I thought it did amazing things at the time, it catapulted parasport 20 years forward. Really did change it for me, and it created this huge wave. And all I felt like that's happened the last 12 years is that we've just ridden that wave. That's almost gone now.
And not built on the legacy.
No. People always ask me about legacy, and it's tough because I still feel like, as one of the gold medalists from 2012, I'm still trying to inspire, motivate, get the next generation. Like, I'm still looking around, where's the next me?
Yeah.
Where are all the young para athletes that should be coming through? Perception has changed a lot, but
investment hasn't happened.
No.
And you assume, I suppose, from my seat, that investment's happening because it makes sense to do it. But then when it doesn't happen, I find that, mind blowing. I'm just so shell shocked that's never happened. Do you know what I mean?
No, and
especially because London was all about legacy.
It really was. And I see Team Wales are doing great things at the moment. They're now getting like private sponsors and stuff, and they're making good moves, and with para and able bodies together, that's heading in the right direction, and that's nice. And even when I came into it, like, Welsh athletics didn't even acknowledge or even know that para existed. I'm 12 years post 2012, and one of the main things I wanted to get out of this was have Disability Sport Wales, or Disability Sport Athletics, Disability Athletics and Able Body Athletics merged.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we've achieved. So Disability Sport Wales is slowly kind of fading away and staying as a charity. And now if you want to do athletics, you just go to Welsh Athletics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, if you're a para athlete, you don't need to look for a para coach or a para group. Just get stuck in. There'll be, things can be adapted, and there's opportunities everywhere right now, which is what I wanted, because even though I was the only kind of disabled kid in my school, I found it strange going to like a disabled sports club when I was younger, because I didn't see myself like that. and obviously perception and things were different around disability then. So I didn't even want to be seen as disabled. But so much has changed now. And I went to a National Development Day probably a few months back, and I remember walking in, and you got all the young kids, and you got Paralympic bodies together, and I was like, that for me is
that's amazing.
That is what it's about now, because everyone's being educated at a younger age, no matter what ability. They're just trying to perform to the highest standard, and we contribute to all the medal count and everything. And I think in that aspect, here in Wales, there's some good stuff happening. Just wish more people saw it.
Yeah. Whenever I think of you in my head, you've got your leg brace on. So that's a serious bit of kit as well.
Yeah.
So how does that, how do you keep developing with technology with that now then?
So for me, it's kind of been, as I've got stronger and fluctuated in weight and whatnot, it's made to a specific dimensions. It was trial and error of years and years, biomech stuff, making sure we had the right angle, looking at the moment of inertia, everything. We just try making sure that leg is in the right angle. My technical model is built on a Canadian shopper called Dylan Armstrong.
Okay.
And he was a very successful thrower, a very good one, but he had like a lazy right leg,
right,
where he just pivoted on it. And for me, because I can't, use the right leg, we decided to, let's get one made specifically to the angle that I needed at. And we started off with some fiberglass, as you can imagine, turned that into crumbs, and we've gone up to carbon fiber, and now we're just working with steel.
Right. Okay.
So believe it or not, that is actually steel.
Wow.
And people don't realize. So it just because it got to a point where it was like, what material can give us something back? And then the way the carbon, you're looking at the grades of carbon, it just didn't work. And the way the carbon shatters as well, if you don't hit it correctly, it would be like putting your leg in a blender. You just crunch it all up. So we've gone with steel, because I was like, look, I don't want it to give me anything back. I just need it to hold me in the position I need to, so I can get across the ring as quick as possible. So it's something that's evolved with me, because again, with my hip and everything that's going on now, you have to change it again.
Interesting though. You must spend hours on that.
Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. And there's so many people that contributed towards it. Like I have to mention him, Sean Pickering, because obviously he passed last year, and he was a huge contributor for that. The Welsh record holder in shot. He played his part in making sure, and he worked with me and Ryan Jones, my coach, for hours and hours, and then he always had the crazy ideas. So he was always the one that was making us look at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And he's definitely a part of the leg, the evolution of the leg, let's say.
And when you look back now at everything you've achieved so far, I think the easy answer is, it's London, career highlight, because it was a huge moment in your life and it changed everything. But is there like a quieter moment or another moment that you think that was the moment that changed everything for me and that's my highlight?
There's so many highlights. Obviously, London is in a league of its own. And, people talk about legacy and what was different. And, all right, I remember winning my gold medal, and I was doing all the crazy stuff. I was on like the Alan Titchmarsh show and stuff on the Monday morning. I went on Lorraine Kelly, and I was in the green room with like Jude Law and Keira Knightley, who had a film out at the time. It was surreal stuff. But I remember being in like a created tower that I think it was like BBC or something like that, a media production company had made, and it overlooked the whole Olympic Park.
Yeah.
And I remember being up there at like 7 a.m. and just watching like this family come in, but this girl running across the park, and I looked twice because she was a double leg amputee. And then she must have been like, 6, 7, 8. And I just think, God, that is a legacy in its own, because I didn't even wear a pair of shorts till I was 16.
Yeah.
I always hid my leg.
Hiding it, you mean?
I was always hiding my leg.
Yeah.
Any way I could, I was always hiding it. Even like it took me winning the Welsh school championships in Brecon, where my PE teacher was like, why are you still wearing trousers? And then I was like, I took my trousers off in the last round, and I remember like there's like 20 boys going, we're getting beat by one leg. And you just but then when you think you're having that effect, it's great.
Yeah. So inspiring. It's amazing.
Do you know what? You just like that and that for me is something that I'll always kind of remember. I'll always remember. There's always those little things, and even being chosen to be captain of Team Wales in 2014 alongside Michaela Breeze, like only Tanny Gray's been in that position ever. It's just certain things like that in my career. And I do forget. There'll be something. We'll go from here, and I'll be driving home. I'll be like, why didn't I mention that?
Yeah.
Because I am very privileged to have been around and done a lot of amazing things that sometimes don't need no words. You're just like, you know, this is just falling into place the way it should be, and this is happening. And the power of sport is pretty phenomenal, if I'm honest, especially for what it's done in terms of changing perception and disability.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. Powerful stuff. Thank you so much for being so honest and open with us.
No,
and, you know, we wish you so well in the Paras. And I have no doubt you're going to make that club with Sir Stephen Redgrave.
Hopefully.
Yeah, go well, mate.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff. What a great guest, Aled Siôn Davies, with us today. Thank you for your company at home as well. Now, remember, we'll be back next week for more Sport in Wales chat, and you can follow us on our socials. Just search Sport in Wales. Tell your friends about us and share the love, and we'll catch you next week. Wherever you go, wherever you are, enjoy your Sport in Wales week.
Sport in Wales podcast.
Supported by DragonBet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.